What made me stop was I think that a lot of fandoms have grown toxic. Hi, my name is Vance and I'm a former K-pop fan.
Hi, my name is Sean and I'm a former K-pop hater.
Kamusta? Ako nga po pala si Sina at dati po akong K-pop fan.
Hi, my name is Philip and I am a former K-pop hater.
I'm Jao Hersito from Northern Samar, Philippines, and I am an ex-K-pop fan.
Hi guys, my name is Irene, and believe it or not, I used to hate K-pop, pero now I'm the biggest K-pop fan among my friends.
As a former K-pop fan, who or what groups were you a fan of? And how long were you a fan of K-pop?
Multi-fandom po ako dati. Isa na po doon ang 21, EXO, BTS, Super Junior, SNSD, GOT7, Monsta X, A-Pink, yun. How long? 7 to 8 years.
Halos 3 taon po akong fan ng BTS. Yung tipong isasakripisyo ko ang lahat ng allowance ko para lang bumili ng merchandise na makikita ko kahit saan.
I was listening to groups like 21 and FX. I also had a sister moment, and who'd forget Girls' Gen, right? I also like Red Velvet, Mamamoo. I had a big soft spot for SHINee, Big Bang, EXO. I also had a BTS moment, who didn't? Then I had 101 and then SF9. Pretty indefinite as to when I started and when I stopped, but I'd give it around 8 years.
As a former K-pop hater, who or what groups are you a fan of now? And how long have you been a K-pop fan?
I've been a K-pop fan for a little less than a year. I'd say I started listening to them May 2020. I'm just generally a fan of Twice, SHINee, and BTS, but pretty much I listen to anybody.
I've been a fan of K-pop since about like 4 or 5 years now. And I actually like a lot of groups, but current groups that I actually follow are ENHYPEN, The Boys, EXT, Red Velvet, and also BTS.
Way back in 2016, my old 3 groups were BTS, Twice, and Blackpink. I am a full-blooded ARMY, but my gateway group into K-pop was actually Blackpink. I'm also a casual listener of some other groups, pero I wouldn't call myself a fan of them because yung level ng commitment ko sa groups ko hindi kasing intense ng kagusto ko sa kanila.
As a former K-pop fan, what made you love K-pop back then?
Una ko po minahal talaga sa kanila yung music. Ang ganda, ang astig, kahit hindi mo maintindihan, parang nadadama mo yung emosyon. Nagustuhan ko din yung kanilang mga music videos. Ang ganda ng production. Ang mga style nila sa pagdadamit. Kung hindi uso yung damit, sila yung magpapauso nun eh. At syempre, magaganda at gwapo sila. Ang cute nila, tapos nakakatawa din. Yung mga reality shows nila. Yun, isa din yung sa nagustuhan ko at minahal sa kanila.
Talent.
Brilliant, incredible, amazing.
Yun yung una talaga. Singing-wise, yung synchronization nila sa pagsayaw, ang galing lang talaga nila. That time, wala pang kilalang P-pop group dito sa Pilipinas. Naging fan din ako ng pag-browse sa YouTube, sa Facebook, ng mga fan-made videos. Tapos nakikita ko sa mga galaw nila, sa mga tawa nila, yung mga kakulitan nila, ang genuine nilang tao. Nahook din ako sa style na minsan nga gusto kong gayahin kung paano sila manamit, fashion sense nila. Pero there are really factors kung bakit kinailangan kong mag-stop.
It would always be the songwriting that got me into the groups. It's like if I love what the songs mean and I love how it's executed, I'm likely to stand that group. It's one of the reasons why I love Mamamoo. Their vocal quality is amazing. Wish I had that. I love how concepts would represent certain metaphors about the songs. Sometimes it's a whole legitimate storyline, and that storyline would connect to other music videos. Something BTS did back in around 2018. You fall into this rabbit hole full of theories that, oh, maybe the storyline needs this. There's just depth to it that I love. Third, I would definitely say the fashion, because they had very amazing clothes and I love fashion. I used to take inspiration on dressing myself up through K-pop, so it teaches you a lot of things.
Why would you call yourself a former hater? What made you hate K-pop before?
K-pop was really popular.
No, it's true. It's true.
With like popular pop acts, I guess, it was just you either really liked them or hated them. And I kind of fell under hating them. It wasn't really anything with them specifically, but it was just like more so just a really famous pop act like, you know, BTS or Blackpink. I grew up in Canada. For example, the beauty standards there are so different from how it is in Korea. The really white skin, and it was like a really big culture shock when I kind of first got exposed to it. So it was just kind of like a thing to do where it's like, it's weird, it's different. You kind of like hate it, I guess. And also like another thing would probably be because they didn't sing in English. English, when people like say they listen to K-pop, do you even know what they're saying? Do you even understand? Those were like pretty big reasons why I hated K-pop at the time.
I also had like the same negative assumptions as most people when it comes to like K-pop. So like I also thought that the music was overproduced. Tingin ko din yung training period for idols was like very abusive. I guess ito yung pinaka most apparent na hindi ko naman naiintindihan yung language.
Anong gusto mong kanta?
Baby na to.
Anong baby na to?
Baby na to. Chika, chama, na.
I was that type of person before.
I've had classmates before in grade school and high school that would just spontaneously dance to K-pop music in the classroom during breaks, who were actually starting fan wars with my other friends who like K-pop. Outright nilang binabash. For me, it was just silently judging in a corner. They're just in their own little world dun sa sulok na yun. They would also wear merch showing their bias's name to school every time may chance kaming mag-civilian. Tapos hindi ko lang talaga mag-get. Funnily enough, all the things that I were judging them for are the things that I do now.
What made you decide to stop being a K-pop fan?
Para nga sa akin, matagal na yung 7 to 8 years mula grade 5 ko hanggang grade 11. Nakafocus lang doon sa Korean culture, sa K-pop. Naisip ko, baka pwedeng ibang kultura naman. Kaya lumabas ako doon sa comfort zone ko. Tapos gusto ko pang mag-explore ng ibang music. Mas nagustuhan ko yung OPM. Pati rin yung ibang mga kanta, ibang kultura.
Malaya na po ako uli na makipaglaban.
Pero dahil din sa K-pop, madami ako naging kaibigan. Masaya yung buong high school days ko. Kumbaga, parang best chapter yun para sa akin. Pero kailangan ko lang talagang mag-move forward nang wala sila.
Mula nung nag-switch ang face-to-face classes to online classes, grabe na yung mga gawain, grabe yung kailangang ipasa sa bawat subject. Tapos sa tulad kong self-supporting student, kailangan ko pang hatiin ang oras ko sa pagtatrabaho so that I can support my studies and my daily living. Doon pa lang sa dalawang yon, kota na yung oras ko. Second factor is pagiging toxic. I'm not saying na lahat ng armies are toxic. Iilan lang sila pero ang iingay nila na kahit pa ngayon, ang dami ko pa rin naririnig ng mga katoksikan. To the point na kahit paggamit lang ng Purple Heart, ang laki ng issue sa kanila. Yung mga hindi fan ng BTS, pag nawabasa nila yon, iba kaagad yung naiisip nila. Yung latest lang ngayon, yung pagkapanalo ni Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande sa Grammy Awards at natalo yung BTS. Ang daming comments na na-disappoint daw sila kasi dapat daw BTS yung nanalo. They have to learn to accept that if BTS is the best in their eyes, in the eyes of other people, maybe they're not the best. Mababawasan yung immaturity nila.
What made me stop was, well, the first one is I think that a lot of fandoms have grown toxic. I'm not saying that everyone is like that. A lot of fandoms will defend their idols bone and tooth. It's pretty scary. I'd say it's even rabid. The second reason is because not only did I not have time anymore, but I'm just into different music these days. I still think that the music they produce is great and the songs they write is probably great, but not my cup of tea. BTS is one of the bigger examples of this. You see an evolution in how they produce their music. During their earlier days, up until late 2018, I think, I really loved their music, but I started detaching at some point because the music that they produce isn't my cup of tea anymore, lyrically or, stylistically.
As a former K-pop hater, what made you love K-pop after hating it for quite some time?
It's really different and unique from Western pop music. For a lot of the bigger acts, you don't sense like that passion or like you don't see like the really bright choreography or like really deep messages in their songs. And then also they don't necessarily utilize the stage the same way as like K-pop acts do. Being a big Michael Jackson fan, I saw a lot of what I liked in Michael Jackson in K-pop in general, using all their elements to their advantage for the viewer. And you never really feel bored with it. Like I'm using BTS as an example. You're constantly updated with new things, V-Live or whatever, like personal chat with fans. You're constantly updated and you never really have a chance to become bored with a certain act. US artists would like maybe drop an album like once every 2 or 3 years. Well, with K-pop, you drop an album like every 4 or 5 months. There's constantly like new stuff that you can look forward to.
It was back in 2016 when I actually like started to like K-pop. I remember watching yung Blood, Sweat, and Tears ng BTS. Tapos super na-impress ako. Pero hindi pa ako nag-stan nun agad. Nag-stan ako mga after 1 year pa. Nakita ko sa Twitter na trending sila na nag-perform sila sa AMAs. So parang nagulat ako na mayroong K-pop act na nag-perform sa AMAs. Yung first thing na na-notice ko is super super galing nilang sumayaw. Pinahinggan ko yung music nila. Parang nag-spiral down na nagulat ako na ang dami palang content na pwede mong i-absorb na yung mga YouTube videos, variety shows na ginagawa yung mga K-pop acts. Ayun, nag-expand din from BTS, even other like underground na Korean musicians. Pinapakinggan ko na din ngayon.
I had a Korean coworker. I was sitting next to him all day. Tapos wala siyang ginagawa kundi magpatugtog ng Blackpink.
I'm very excited because I'm gonna be performing.
Kakarinig ko sa songs nila araw-araw. I decided to do research on my own at home and I watched their music videos and that made me a blink. I don't know kung ano nag-captivate sa akin. Maybe it's because he can dance and sing at the same time and hindi siya ma-help kasi ang catchy talaga ng song. So, flash forward to 2018, I was really just depressed. I really found comfort in watching funny videos of BTS. Fate na lang na I discovered their songs, especially Magic Shop. That song literally saved me. I got to know them more as a group. Nagsimula sila from literally nothing and how they were climbing up. How much work they've done ever since they've debuted. I realized na other K-pop groups were like that as well. Tingin mo hindi mo naiintindihan yung songs nila or puro fun and catchy lang. Pero once you understand it, they have so much more meaning to it. This made me change my perspective of K-pop.
As a former K-pop fan and hater, do you think that loving K-pop or Korean culture makes one any less of a Filipino?
For me personally, I don't think it makes you less of a Filipino if you love K-pop or Korean culture. You're just kind of accepting another culture and you're appreciating it for what it is. It can kind of become a problem when you start rejecting your own culture. In that case, it would become a problem, rejecting your own identity. Music is a language that has no borders, so K-pop certainly isn't like the first time where somebody from overseas kind of dominated a big market, especially with like Spanish music before. If you truly appreciate like who you are as a person, like for example, if you're like a proud Filipino, but then at the same time you also just happen to like K-pop and Korean culture, then I don't see what's wrong with it.
Well, this was very hard kasi I feel like it's hard to like have a clear picture of what the Filipino identity is. Kasi for me, a Filipino is like an amalgamation of like different cultures coming together because of different factors, even because of like colonization. Hindi naman nakadepende yung pagka-Filipino natin on what type of music we listen to. I guess you could also ask the same question for people who mainly listen to Western music. Does that make them less of a Filipino as well? Just because na nanonood tayo ng foreign content, hindi na tayo nagsusupport ng local. We can support both at the same time naman. So I guess we shouldn't look at intercultural exchange as a bad thing. It's actually a good thing to get to know more about people. The first step into becoming more human is by knowing the other.
If I like K-pop, that doesn't mean I'm not Filipino or less of a Filipino. I'm not making it my entire identity. What's the difference of liking K-pop with liking Western artists or music? When we consume Western media, you don't bat an eye. But when it comes to K-pop, suddenly all of you want to blame the country's problems for it. It's technically the same. It's just in a language that you can't understand. People that come up with this argument are the ones who think na sinasamba natin ng ating K-pop posters or album. We're not a fan of these groups just because they're Korean. We're a fan of them because of their talent, the hard work they put into their music, and the music that they're making. It's not impossible to like both at the same time. I mean, I like K-pop, but I also listen to Filipino music and support Filipino artists as well. How does that make me less of a Filipino?
Hindi naman po porket minamahal mo, nagugusto mo yung ibang kultura, is nakakalimutan mo na yung pagiging Filipino mo o kaya hindi ka na Filipino. Filipino ka pa rin naman sa isip, sa puso, sa dugo. Asaka yung pag-aaral o kaya yung pagmamahal na dun sa kultura na yon is marami kang matututunan, marirealize, dun mo na hanap yung happiness mo. So bakit naman hindi? At saka mali mo maging advantage din yun sa'yo in the future, diba? Sayang yung opportunity, aralin mo na yung kultura, aralin mo na yung lingwahe nila. Walang masama. Go lang, magpapadaig.
Kung Filipino ka, nasa puso mo, nasa dugo mo, nasa isip mo, nasa utak mo, ano pa man yung gawin mo, I think Filipino ka pa rin. Ako naman kasi, hindi lang BTS, ang dami ko ding ni-stan na mga K-pop groups. I also love Korean culture to the extent that I even tried to study their language. Hanggang ngayon, actually, pangarap ko pang makasuot ng traditional outfit nila. Pero I don't think me, being a Filipino pala, ay nabawasan. For me, it adds up to my spice as a unique person. It did not chunk out something of me being a Filipino. Nidagdag lang sa kaalaman ko yung kultura, yung lingwahe ng Korean, pero it doesn't mean na nabawasan yung pagka-Filipino ko.
The Filipino culture is comprised of many things. It isn't properly defined either. There are many other aspects traits that would define being a Filipino. Maybe it could be public service and dedication to your country. Maybe it's the choice of actively serving your country politically, socially, propagating the use of the Filipino language. Just because you like K-pop culture would not make you any less of a Filipino, because there are so many more areas you can cover to express being nationalistic. I think that people who claim that it makes you less of a Filipino have a very narrow understanding of what it means to be a Filipino. In order for you to be able to incentivize Filipinos to subscribe to more Filipino pop culture, I think you should start evolving the industry first, guiding these artists and promoting these artists better, improving the quality. And it's gonna take time and money for us to be able to reach to that point. I don't think it's a very good way to establish nationalism by just telling Filipinos, oh, subscribe to Filipino pop more than you should with K-pop. If you think that way, I would really like you to consider why Filipinos like K-pop culture, which, by the way, Elle has another video for that. You should check his channel out more.